Past Sins, Chapter 0, Resurrection. Amidst dim candlelight, a single unicorn sat with his head bent down, eyes shut. He sat alone at the edge of a still pond, his reflection dancing in the water. The pond was nestled deep within the everfree forest, the darkened trees and gnarled branches surrounding all sides like silent sentinels. While most of Equestria had just shifted into spring, Everfree was still gripped by clinging bits of winter. Snow covered the ground, and there was a lingering chill in the air. The unicorn's hot breath let puffs of steam curl and rise for a few seconds before disappearing into the night. For a long time, the unicorn had sat in the utter silence on the edge of the pond, with only a few nearby candles for company. The light from the tiny flickering flames fell upon his black coat, though it wasn't his natural color. No, his whole body, mane included, had been dyed the deepest black possible. Even his cutie mark had been covered by the dyes, his flank appearing utterly blank. Only the quiet sounds of the forest were audible, the creaking of trees and the shifting of the pond water. It was the scene of tranquility the unicorn needed to prepare for the task of the evening. Yet, as he took in another deep breath and released it, hoofsteps began to echo across the trees. "Nexus, we're ready to go when you are." The black unicorn, spelled Nexus, took in another breath, turquoise eyes opening as he turned to look at the pony who had approached him from behind. "I will be along shortly." The pony who had interrupted nodded, disappearing back into the forest. After waiting for the hoofsteps to fade into silence, Nexus lit his horn. As his magic flowed, he reached to his side with the arcane energy, levitating a number of items into the air. "Our queen, guide me this night," Nexus said as he turned his gaze skyward, "for it is beneath this full moon that our efforts come to fruition." Nexus spoke the words slowly, his voice carrying the tone of a pony well practiced in preaching, whose words could inspire the loyalty of his brothers and sisters, a voice that had drawn great minds and strong bodies to the cause, though at the moment he was speaking only to himself. The black-dyed unicorn lowered his head and touched a hoof to his chest as he said, "Let me be merely a vessel for your will and strength until the deed is done." The levitating items drew close to him, a cape of midnight blue with white stars all across its surface, a chest plate comprised of grayish-purple metal, with a turquoise moon set in its center, and horseshoes to match the chestplate, and an armored plate for the back of his neck. "Let me bear your mane," Nexus said as he drew the cape over his back, "both powerful and beautiful, a depiction of the endless sky. Let me stand in uniform," he continued as the armor began to secure itself to his body. "In the armor that pays tribute to your image and greatness, let me be your agent this night, for it is you I serve above all others." The final piece of armor levitated toward Nexus, a helmet made of the same metal as the chest piece. The unicorn guided the helm carefully, bringing it down across his horn as it fit snugly onto his head. "May your power be with me, for tonight you shall breathe and taste the cool night air for yourself," Nexus spoke as he rose to his hooves. "You shall look upon the world with eyes of your own, and no longer be forced to share a body with a weak foal as you have in the past. Tonight you shall be your own mare, never again to be threatened by the elements of harmony." Nexus stood looking at his reflection in the pond. He now appeared the ultimate doppelganger of his mistress, taking on the visage of an eager acolyte, ready to receive her power and knowledge. Through the efforts of him and his group they would see their queen rise again. Yet it was only he that was allowed to look so much like the queen, to lead the spell that was about to be cast. It was his place of honor, one no pony would steal from him. "Tonight, Nightmare Moon, your followers shall grant you a life of your own, and the tyrants of Sun and Moon shall fall." Mentally prepared, Nexus turned and began to walk into the forest, following the trail that connected the pond to another part of the Everfree, another clearing which came into view quickly and was occupied by several unicorns, pegasi, and earth ponies moving about the space as they constantly checked their work. The ground had been cleared of snow, though a few piles were left dotted about the space. On both the exposed ground and the piles of snow there were wooden bowls filled with oil-soaked powders. Paint had been used on the ground to draw arcane lines of power, and in the air above cloaked Pegasi worked to gather clouds, pushing them together to hide the clearing from prying, skybound eyes. All the ponies Nexus saw wore the black cloak of the Order except for 3 who stood giving orders, a pair of Pegasi and an Earth pony. They, like Nexus, wore the honored armor, though he alone wore the flowing star-field cape and the helmet, vestments only he had the honor of wearing. "How close are we, Nightwind?" "Cloud cover is almost complete, and the Pegasi only need a few words to get their bowls," the dark purple Pegasus answered, staring back at Nexus with her turquoise eyes, a sign of the Order. Through the work of the spell, Nexus blessed each of the children of Nightmare. It was a blessing that carried enlightenment, along with special eyes, which bore their majesty's regal turquoise color. "Good," Nexus said before turning to the Earth pony. "Stonewall, do you have the items?" "They have not left my sight since our departure from Canterlot, Nexus," the Earth pony replied, motioning to the bull that was currently resting on his back. "And Greygale? Is our special guest awake?" "Oh yeah, she just woke up," the gray Pegasus of the trio answered, talking far more casually. "And boy is she scared." "That's because you told her Stonewall would snap off her horn if she tried to escape," Nightwind snipped. "Hey, it kept her from trying anything," Greygale defended. "She couldn't try anything even if she wanted to. She's got an anti-magic brace on her neck." "You have all done well," Nexus spoke, stopping the argument before it could go any further. "But now we must all take our places. Stonewall, take the sacred items to the center of the ritual. Greygale, Nightwind, prepare your torches and head to the sky." The 3 nodded, going to their assigned tasks, while Nexus turned his attention to one side of the clearing. There, lying on the ground, a pony, hog-tied with rope, and a cloth bag over her head. Treading carefully, Nexus moved between the wooden bowls and approached the hog-tied pony. When he was a few steps away, the cult leader used his magic to remove the bag. The unicorn captive was now fully visible, her violet coat dirty in a few places from the fact that she was lying on the ground. Her darker purple mane was a mess as she looked up at Nexus in fear, undoubtedly noticing the resemblance the unicorn had with a certain fallen princess.